Hey guys, welcome back to Life Learning. My name is Christina Ballard, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about Term 2. I know it's been a while, and I apologize for that. I had a lot going on personally, and I'm really excited to be telling you guys how the second term of my WGU experience has been going. So this term, I was only able to do 4 classes. But that's okay, because every little bit that you do, no matter if it's 4 classes or 6 classes one term, it all adds up and it doesn't really matter. So don't feel bad if you aren't able to accomplish as many as you hope for. A little bit of progress just adds up all the way, and don't feel ashamed about it, because I only completed 4 courses for term 2, and it's okay, because I feel like I'm still motivated to keep going. So the first one was D090, which is a weird course code, but in a nutshell, it's all about community of care. And this one was interesting. I've never really had this type of course before, where it talked a lot about building classroom community. They talked about strategies to manage relationships with diverse families, encouraging parent involvement, making sure students' well-being was managed, maintained, and how to collaborate with students. It talked a lot about making sure the classroom is safe, especially when you deal with those who may have been in traumatic situations. Everybody's background is different, so you kind of have to know how to handle diverse situations and diverse people. It talked about a concept called cultural sustaining pedagogy. It's a lengthy little concept, but it can be a little bit to grasp on it, but don't stress about it, because it's really easy once you understand it. They have a lot of material and graphics to help you guys out. Basically, it just means that as teachers, future teachers, in order to make sure that your curriculum and classroom meets the needs of diverse families and students, you have to make sure that you have cultural practices in your toolkit. That's basically what it means. It just means that you're connecting the curriculum and your lesson plans to cultures. You're making sure, the classroom books, make sure it reflects your students to get them interested. So I really like this class, because it really opened up my eyes to things like implicit bias and mental health, social emotional health, and it really inspired me so much so much that I really I just began planning for my classroom experience, and I found all these cool ideas of trying to make my classroom more culturally involved and more diverse friendly. So I really enjoyed this class, and I think you will too. And I think it's something that every educator needs to be aware about. So there are 4 tasks for this class, and yes, you do have to go through all the notes to do all the tasks. I can't really remember which unit pertains to which task, so you kind of have to figure that out for yourself, but it's okay, because I think there were some videos that went along with it, so you're able to see which video can help you create an outline for yourself and help you gather notes. And it'll also, in the rubric, it tells you where in the course material you'll be able to find that information. So if you went down to the rubric and you saw, for let's say just part B2 or whatever, and you click, there's a little link, you can click on it, it'll take you right back to the course material of where it is, and you can kind of figure out where in your notes to look for. So I really like that. That was that's very helpful, because sometimes you're not real sure all the time, and it's perfectly understandable. But I think the instructional support from the instructors, your mentor will absolutely be helpful, and they have task videos, I think, as well. But the first task, they'll give you 3 videos. You get to pick, I think, and you basically observe teachers, and you have to kind of like write about and answer questions. Task, I think it was, task, task 3 was an interview. Task 2 and 4, they give you scenarios, and you basically answer questions, and it's all about building your practice of how would you handle this situation with this diverse situation. And it's all about, again, those cultural practices, those strategies of making sure that your classroom is full of community of care and safe and promotes well-being of the families and the students. So it all kind of ties it all together, in my opinion. But task 3 was very interesting. Basically, it was like an interview. So I had to pick someone in the educational professional community and ask them about topics related to like mental health and emotional well-being, substance abuse, child abuse, things like that. And basically I had to ask them from their perspective how their school system helps the community by providing parents and families with community resources. That was interesting. You can interview anyone, even family members. I actually interviewed my mom, who at the time was an assistant principal. So that was really fun for me. It allowed me to see how well schools really help the community as well. So this class was really fun, really intriguing, and I think you'll enjoy it too. All right, so the next course that I took for term 2 was Math Elementary Educators number 2, which is D126. And to just basically sum it up for you, because it was just math, basically. They did patterns, expressions, equations, formulas, linear equations, inequalities, and functions. This, I feel like, was like the equivalency of like college algebra. It wasn't too bad, but I'm not a big fan of linear equations and inequalities. I'm good at math once I understand what I'm doing. So for this course, if you kind of struggle with math, I highly recommend talking to an instructor. And I also highly recommend doing all of like, they'll have like quizzes at the bottom, doing all of the practice, the quizzes. They also give you like topic worksheets. Those were really, really helpful. I went to all the live sessions for the class. They also have a live instructor support. So if you have any questions, any sorts of math problems in particular, they were super helpful, and they even sent you the notes. So just practice. I actually made some practice problems for myself. I mean, I practice daily on all this stuff. So that was also helpful. And you can also, they have success centers. So they have like a writing center, a library, and a math center. And the math center was very helpful for me as well. So with this course, I mean, you got to take it because it's kind of required. And I do kind of see why they want us to. Some of the stuff that you do you do get to learn will pertain to teaching elementary stuff. However, I doubt we'll be doing functions and linear inequalities and whatnot, but hey, maybe you'll teach 5th grade and the 6th graders start doing that next year. So I guess every school is kind of different, you know. And a lot of kids are learning stuff really quickly. Like I even think 2nd graders are learning fractions and whatnot. I certainly didn't do that in 2nd grade. So I think the curriculum now is a little bit, maybe a little bit faster than it is, or it was when I was in school. But this is kind of like a college algebra course. But if you just If you do all the stuff that I just said, you'll be fine. This is just an objective assessment class. So I highly recommend taking that pre-assessment because that'll be helpful. Take it right off the bat, like when you finish doing all the unit quizzes, all the or unit tests, they call it, the little quizzes after each module. I highly recommend flashcards, but when you do flashcards, do it by hand. And this is because with certain math problems, you'll have to do stuff step by step. I always like to color code my flashcards because it just helps me visualize it better. But once you do all that stuff and you kind of study for a while, take the pre-assessment once you finish with all the material and see where you're at. And just right off the bat, just helps me understand which areas I need to study more on. For videos, they do have videos within the course that'll help you. And they also have videos that their own instructors have done, like videos that you can look on besides the live session cohorts. So they have a lot of stuff to give you, so don't freak out if math is not your biggest thing. They also have a PowerPoint to help you if you have like math anxiety, which, I mean, it's common. And I certainly understand because math kind of scares me too. I get kind of nervous sometimes too. So, but don't worry, they have lots of help and strategies to help you get through this course. Okay, the next course I took for term 2 was C-165. This is the Integrated Physical Sciences. You may be thinking, what the heck is this? I had a little idea that it might pertain something to like earth science or maybe physics because it sounded familiar, but I had no idea that it's 3 sciences all wrapped up into one course. And this course, I finished it, I think in 4 weeks, might have been like 4.5, I think. Just because it's a lot of information and it's just one objective assessment. So I mean, this course is a little bit in-depth. So if you feel like you need 6 weeks, take 6 weeks. I only did 4 weeks because at this point, I started to see that I was only going to have 4 classes in this term due to everything I said in the beginning of this video. But, you know, you may be different. You may need those 6 weeks. So I highly recommend talking to your instructor and your mentor about this. Feel free to do whatever is best for you. That's my honest opinion, because the way I planned this out may be very different from your perspective. So I totally understand. But this course wraps up physics, chemistry, and they call it Earth and Sky, but it's more like Earth and environmental science. So physics, first you talk about the scientific inquiry is what they call it. That's basically the scientific method. And they also talk about units and measuring. And oddly enough, the units and measuring section was on the test. So make sure you look over that because I got kind of confused a little bit. But just make sure you understand that the units and measuring part and even the understanding of physical science itself and the scientific method, that'll still be on there. So it's kind of like 4 big sections, but the scientific inquiry part is relatively smaller than the other stuff. Physics mainly had like forces in motion, you had friction, gravity, all that kind of stuff, properties of waves, and then they had like a section 2 test or whatever. And then the next one was chemistry. Structures of matter, behavior of matter, and then a section 3 test. And Earth and Sky mostly had to do with like the solar system, the Earth structure, atmosphere, and then you had like another general test. So this course is pretty much in depth, and I highly recommend, like I said, looking at the announcements, the course tips. I think they had like a instructor support, I think, as well. Lots of live events and cohorts. They had 165 course videos, super important. I recommend you watch all of them. I think they were also like in the course material itself. So and you have like your course tips, and they gave you like a vocab list. They had like a pacing guide, note-taking guides as well. And they even had a page for frequently asked questions. So a lot of great helpful resources for a class like this. I highly recommend flashcards are key. Make sure you have flashcards that have like questions, because that's important. Go to all the cohorts as best as you can. Talk to your instructor, and I also recommend try and take something away from each class, especially this class, because it's so in depth. Try and think to yourself, why do I need to learn this sort of thing? Is there anything that I can take away from this class that I'll still carry with me through the rest of my career or my life? I definitely had like a lot of key takeaways from this class. I learned a lot about things that I was actually interested in and things that I didn't even know I was good at. Apparently I'm good at chemistry and I didn't even know it. So I definitely learned a lot from Earth and environmental science. I learned a lot more about things like global warming or the solar system. That was actually, I'm interested in the solar system. So that was actually fun for me. And try and make it fun for yourself, even though it's a very in-depth class. Try and motivate yourself throughout the class, because obviously this is a class that you will probably have to know to teach, because there are some grade levels that have to do with teaching physics, a little bit of chemistry, but a lot of earth and sciencey stuff. I also liked the weather, like the Earth's weather. That was cool to me. Used to not be a big fan of force and motion, but they had like some simulated labs, which was kind of cool because you got to see some of the concepts that I learned about. So those are my highly recommended tips for this class. But I think if you take this class, as long as you just stay on top of things, you have a plan in place, and you talk to your instructor, and you just do all the tips that I recommended, I think you'll be fine. Okay, so the last class that I took for term 2 was D096, which is Fundamentals of Diverse Learners. This class really opened up my eyes to like special education sort of stuff. It talked a lot about national, local standards for this. It also talked about very important laws that are that you need to know, like Section 504, and things like that. I can't remember all of them at the top of my head, but I know they are really important for a teacher to know, of course, and especially if you want to become like a SPED teacher or special education teacher. There are things like learning about IEPs, and there are important things for you to know, and how to consult with different problems like accommodations and modifications in the classroom, also very important. It talked a lot about, very similar to the first class that I took, community of care. It's kind of like tied it in together a little bit more, because they talked about using strategies for differentiated instruction. So they talked about things like equity versus equality, which that was like a good takeaway from this class. After learning about it, I'm a strong believer in it. It also talked about things like you might be involved with a student who has a disability, or it could be physical, mental, emotional, that sort of thing. So they kind of go in depth, and they show you how you can support those learners and their families. And for the most part, they also give you strategies to handle learning disorders like dyslexia, dysgraphia. I think it's like speech development delayed disorder, something like that. Just very interesting stuff, and important for you to know, because in a classroom you have to like be aware of these things in case you see that a child or a student needs certain help. You can give them the right supports for that sort of thing. So I think this class was very interesting. It definitely opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that I wasn't even aware of. It also helped to talk about English language learning as well. And just think about it from their perspective. I think a lot of this was like very perspective, like somebody else's perspective. And we talked about getting experts' opinions on certain topics, and it was just very interesting. I mean, supporting diverse learners in the classroom is one thing, and then making sure that you follow certain laws and policies related to more inclusive situations like special educated students is quite another. So it just opened my eyes to be like, when I'm going to be a teacher, it's a lot that I'll have to be able to learn how to do. And I really enjoyed the tasks that they gave me. You have 3 tasks, and you do have an objective assessment. So flashcards are key here. Just basic flashcards, vocabulary, concepts, and questions is what I kind of broke it all down to. I use Quizlet a lot to help out, but you can definitely write your own cards. Nothing wrong with that. There's definitely cohorts, and they've definitely got like a lot of course tips. They have like a study hall, which was cool. I didn't really go, but I that's just me. I prefer to like work alone. I'm really good about getting in the zone myself. But if you want to have like a study group, there is nothing wrong with that, because they definitely have a whole study hall for it. And I think they have like an instructional support page as well. So the 3 tasks, the first one is focusing on meaningful collaboration for student success. And it basically like gave you certain scenarios and how you would address that scenario with a strategy related to such and such. That one was very easy. They do have videos for all of their tasks, so don't worry. I thought it was interesting. It definitely helped me understand why I need to learn some of these legal stuff, like legal laws pertaining to SPED and whatnot. So it wasn't too difficult. It was very straightforward, but the video did help, and it'll probably help for you too. The task 2 was it gave me, this was one of my first immersion experiences, because immersion is a simulated kind of like direct teaching almost. It's very cool. You should just you can look up immersion like on YouTube, or they have a website. It kind of shows you everything. I thought it was very, very cool. You basically have to interact with a small group of students, and you're talking about a particular scenario that they give you. And I think some of the students that you're having to be involved with for like a 10-15 minute video lesson, one of them might have dyslexia, one of them might be an English language learner. So again, you have to use what you learn to apply it to this task. And then I think in the third, I think it might have been the same task. I think one of them I did like a reflection. I think it was the same thing. You have to make sure though that you create an account and whatnot with your school email and whatnot. And it's very simple. Again, I highly recommend watching YouTube for this, because that's what I did. I watched a lot of YouTube videos to learn about a little bit more about immersion. But once you do it, it's a very, very cool experience. The kids talk to you as if you are in a real classroom. It's so cool. The last task was, again, this was my reflection. I'm sorry. I remember. This one was my reflection for the immersion experience of task 2. So everything that I did in task 2, I had to write a reflection about. And don't worry, the experience that you did with immersion in task 2 will be recorded, and it'll be sent to you. So that's kind of cool. You get to kind of watch yourself and kind of like really reflect what you did. So, well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video with me. Thank you so much for watching my term 2 overview. I can't wait to show you the rest of my terms, and stay tuned for more.